Hello everyone and welcome to this video. So last time we set up our perspective camera and this time I kind of want to cover input. So how do we handle input with silk.net, and the other part of video we're just going to do a bit of refactoring and moves everything to a scene, because it's going to help us in the future to kind of have small isolated scenes, and as we build a new features we can have those features in those scenes. So for the input, we're not going to cover mouse yet, we're just going to cover keyboard, but we're going to cover mouse next time. So let's get started. First things first, so you're going to need one package, and you can find it, right? We already use silk.net packages, and we're searching for input, so just find silk.net.input. We were using 221, so we can just continue with it. Let's install it, and that's it. So to handle input, we could use it directly, but I'm going to wrap it inside of a class called input manager. So I'm just going to add a new directory to our game, and I'm going to call it input. So for input, we can create input manager, and here we're going to have a bunch of stuff. Well, actually not even that many. So we're just going to have dictionary, and here we have key, and that's from silk.net.input namespace, and then we're going to have boolean, and I'm just going to call this keys down, and we can initialize it immediately. So we can add small descriptions here, so keys that are pressed in current frame. All right, and then we're going to have something similar, which is just going to be called keys released, and we just want to keep track of the keys that were released in this frame. So not this, so I'm just going to call it released keys that are. So how this is going to work is, if we release a key, we're going to set it to true, and then after the update loop, we're just going to reset everything to false. Okay, so finally, let's actually create our constructor, and we're just going to use window here. Window, apparently, window. I even have some suggestions here, almost. It says window here, key down. That's wrong suggestion, but it's not that far from being correct. So we need input context, and we create it from a window. So there is this method, create input. We just create it, and then on the context we have these events. So we have not on the context, we actually have to fetch, for example, keyboard context and then keyboards. So in theory you could have multiple keyboards. I think we're just going to use the first one that we find. So in case of your keyboard is disconnected, or you have multiple keyboards somehow, you're going to need to take care of it here and maybe do these events a bit differently, but for now we're just going to use that keyboard actually. And this callback actually has 3 parameters, 2 of which I don't care about. We just care about the key, and then it's similar here. So we can discard the first and the third one. And the second one is key. We have keyboard key down. So key is down, we're going to set it true if it's pressed down, and if it's up, we're going to set it to false, and then release keys, we're also going to set the true here. All right, so we're just going to need one update method. So one method which is going to be called after update. And I mentioned here we just want to actually just set release keys to false. Good. So further we need to get these keys down, and I actually like to do it with some struct, some simple class, let's say the DTO class, which I'm going to call KeyboardState. So let's just create that one and call it KeyboardState. And here we're actually going to take our dictionaries in. So here, what did I have? I'm looking at notes. I think we had key, right? And then we had bool. So we had the down keys and then release keys in kernel frame, right? So we can just have a bunch of methods. This one is going to be called is key down. We take up key, and then we can expect down keys, right? Key. And actually we cannot just do it like that because the key might be or might not be in dictionary yet. So we're just going to say contains key if it's contained and if it's down in current frame. And actually we don't want to make class, we don't need to keep all of it in this. We can just make a struct. It's going to be way cheaper. And then is key released. It's similar, but yeah, that's fine. That's for key released. And then we just need another one, bool, and here suggestion is wrong. I want is key up, and that can be just negation of is key down. Right? Is key down in current frame, and that does not mean press down, right? Because we're not we're not clearing this, so it will mean if it's pressed in frame n, it's still going to be pressed in frame n plus 2 plus n plus 1, n plus 2, and n plus 3 until it is actually released, right? And the same is for key up. So if it's not pressed, it's not going to press in any of the following frames. Current frame. But for release key, it's a bit different, right? Because it's just going to be in n frame. So it's not going to be n plus 1 frame, n plus 2, unless we press it again and release it in the following frame. Because we're going to clear all of that right here in after update. Hopefully you get what I mean. And just here now, so we're going to have another method which is KeyboardState, and then we just created it KeyboardState. Good. So further, what we need is to make use of it, or actually just call it, and we're going to put that into engine. So here, somewhere above, right up below the window, I think it's appropriate place. So we're going to have our input manager, input, get private set. We need to create it, and we can do it just after the window, right? And then we have this after update, and I think we had on update here. So to do update and then input after update, and this will clear our keys that were released in current frame. So similar to this, we're going to have on update event. So we have a bit of name collision here, so we're just going to rename this window on update. And then this one, which was window update plus equal, we're going to have window on update. And to make this consistent, actually, let's do it for the onload as well. So let me just find onload. That's fine. And then if you find this here, we're just going to have public event action on update, right? And that's it. So regarding this, let's go back to our program. So we're just going to have similar to what we had here. We're going to have engine on update. And here I'm not going to do anything yet. So what we want to do is kind of have a scene. And scene is just going to encapsulate all of this. And then we're going to create another scene, and we're going to use keyboard to flip between the scenes. So for that, we can just create a new directory. I'm going to call this one scene, and we're going to have class which is base scene, and we're going to need to implement idisposable, because when we change screen, I want to dispose of the resources here. We have our dispose pattern. Let's make this abstract. Then, sorry about that. This one needs to be abstract as well. And then another one of the methods is going to be initialize. So we have that, and then we can create our scene. And I'm just going to call it quad test scene. The name is not important. The names are going to be more meaningful in the future, but we just want to implement base scene. I think we're going to need engine here. So that's one of the fields. And then just from the program, we can fetch all of this. Go to our quad test scene. Right, perspective camera, only train the pipeline, vertex index buffer, our image, our texture. Then let's go further. All of this, what was on initialize, we're going to fetch that. We're going to move it to our initialize method here. Then you can already guess everything that's on render. We're going to move that as well. We're going to need this rotation thing as well in our quad test scene. And then clean up as well. So if I was to run it, I won't see anything because we cleared everything. So it's probably just going to be our clear color. It is. So let's call our scene here. So we're just going to say base scene. Scene. Let's import everything. Scene.initialize. On update, yet nothing, but on render to have. And then we can just call here scene dispose. Right, and let's format that properly. So if I try to run now, our scene is working good. So what we want to have now is just list of scenes. And actually let's create another scene. So let's just call this for simplicity quad test scene 2. And it's going to be exactly similar to the first one, except we're going to rename this to 2, and here we have rotation, we're just going to get rid of it. So we're not going to change anything. So the first scene is going to have rotating quad, the second one is just going to be simple quad, which is not rotating. So we can change this to list. We can rename this to scenes, and we can make this new list. I'm just going to copy paste this. And here we're just going to say scenes.add. Right, we need the second one. And then we're going to have some index, current scene. And then from those scenes, we can initialize one for the current scene on update. And here we're going to actually use our keyboard. So we just want to have keyboard state, and then we can use engine, right? Input. Maybe we can use it, and then we can say get keyboard state, right? And so what do we want to check? If keyboard state is key released, right? So we need this key released. So if we press down space, we do nothing, but if we released it, then we can actually do something. And here we're just going to use key space. We're going to probably have to change this in future because it might be used for something else, but for now it's fine. So what do we want to do? We want to change the scene. So we need to release and dispose of the current scene. So we're just going to say scenes, current scene dispose. Then we're going to increase the scene index. So we could do it like this. You know what? I'm going to do it like this, just for simplicity. If current scene is greater than scenes count -1, right? We're just going to reset it, and then similar to what we did here, right? We just need to reinitialize our scene again. And then for rendering, we can just use scenes, this scene index. And finally here, right, when we dispose the game, we just want to dispose the last used scene as well. And if I try to run it now, you can see that it's rotating. If I press space, it's not rotating, meaning the scenes are being changed. Good. So that's kind of it for this video. I just wanted to set up input real quickly. Next time we're probably going to cover mouse event and maybe camera event or something else. I'll see. I'm not sure yet what will fit the most. But for this video it was really simple. Yeah, so this is how you can use input. This is how you can use scenes, and scenes are just going to be our small tests for all the stuff that we're going to do, and then we can incorporate it into a game. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, maybe like, subscribe, leave a comment, and until next time.